Queens, New York, early morning. The first customers arrive long before lunch. A retired man unfolds an Arabic newspaper near the window. Two friends greet each other in Darija before switching effortlessly into English. The smell of mint tea drifts across the room. In the kitchen, harira simmers slowly, the tomato, lentil, and chickpea soup that is Morocco's most beloved comfort food. Behind the counter, Haj Driss has already been here for hours. He introduces himself the way he has introduced himself for 40 years.
Welcome
to Little Morocco. I am Haj Driss, originally from the city of Saleh, Morocco. I have been living in America since 1985, a period of 40 years. Praise be to God, we ease their exile a little bit and cure their longing for Morocco. Easing the exile, curing the longing. For nearly 4 decades, Little Morocco restaurant at 24 to 39 Steinway Street has been more than a place to eat. It has been where newly arrived immigrants found their first familiar meal, where families celebrated Eid, where students came when homesickness became too heavy, where strangers slowly became neighbors. A few doors down, a Moroccan travel agency books flights, not to vacation destinations, but home. Casablanca, Tangier, Fez. A barber greets regulars with Salam Alaikum. An elderly couple leaves the mosque after morning prayer. A young woman picks up msemen and fresh bread before driving to work. On Steinway Street, Morocco is not announced with a famous gateway or a freeway exit sign. It exists in ordinary routines. A cup of tea, a familiar accent, the smell of fresh bread. Nearly 3,000 miles away, in a biomedical research laboratory in Seattle, Adla begins another morning of work she crossed an ocean to do. In Southern California, master craftsman Nuruddin carefully carves intricate Moroccan plasterwork by hand, preserving techniques that have been passed from one generation to the next for 400 years. In Boston, Moroccan-born chef Morad prepares lamb that has been marinating for 24 hours. And years before the world knew him as French Montana, a 13-year-old boy named Karim Karbouche arrived in the Bronx from Casablanca, unable to speak English. Another immigrant family trying to build a life in a new country. Different cities, different professions, different lives, the same invisible community. Then, for a few unforgettable weeks in 2022, that quiet community became impossible to miss. Little Morocco overflowed with Atlas Lions supporters. Cars draped in red flags rolled through Queens. Strangers embraced after every victory. As one supporter shouted during the celebrations, Dima Maghrib, always Morocco. The World Cup did not create this community. It simply revealed one that had quietly existed for decades. Today, somewhere between 150,000 and 200,000 Moroccans live across the United States. Unlike many immigrant communities, they never built a Koreatown, no Little Italy, no official Moroccan neighborhood with an arch and a sign. Instead, pieces of Morocco appear quietly across New York, Northern Virginia, Boston, Orlando, South Florida, Dallas, Los Angeles, and Seattle. A restaurant, a mosque, a cafe, a bakery, a cultural association, a travel agency. One family introducing another. One business helping the next. An invisible map stretching across an entire country. How do you build one of America's most overlooked immigrant communities without ever building a neighborhood? The answer begins in Morocco itself, a kingdom where hospitality is a tradition, tea is a ritual, and leaving home has connected generations to every corner of the world. Tonight, we travel from the Medinas of Casablanca, Saleh, Fez, and Tangier to the cafes of Queens, the laboratories of Seattle, the kitchens of Boston, the workshops of California, and the living rooms of Moroccan-American families across the United States, to discover how thousands of ordinary immigrants quietly built one of America's most overlooked communities, without ever building a little Morocco. A story about migration, hospitality, craftsmanship, identity, and the invisible network that has connected Moroccans across America for generations. This is the human map, because when people move, the map moves with them. Sometimes not into one neighborhood, but into an entire nation. Subscribe and explore the communities, cultures, and hidden networks quietly reshaping the world. Before Steinway Street became Little Morocco, there was nothing deliberate about it at all. Moroccans have been travelers for centuries, merchants crossing the Sahara, students leaving for Paris and Brussels, workers heading to Belgium, France, Spain, and the Netherlands. Migration was never unusual. It was part of life. America, however, was different. Unlike Europe, it never received massive waves of Moroccan labor. The Atlantic was farther, the visas were harder. Moroccans arrived slowly: students, engineers, doctors, small business families. One household at a time, one introduction leading to another. By the 1980s, a quiet community had begun taking shape in Astoria, Queens. Not because anyone planned it, simply because newcomers followed familiar faces. One apartment became two. One restaurant became three. One family helped the next. Haj Driss arrived in 1985 from Saleh. He was not looking to build a landmark. He was looking to build a life. He opened a travel agency first, becoming one of the first authorized Royal Air Maroc ticketing agents in the area, then the restaurant. For years, he helped fellow Moroccans navigate a new country, finding apartments, booking flights, translating documents, introducing newcomers to employers, sometimes simply listening. The restaurant came from a specific observation. He noticed that Moroccan husbands whose wives had returned to Morocco for family visits were left alone in New York, homesick, without the food and rhythms of home. The idea for the restaurant came to me when I noticed many brothers whose wives go to Morocco for visits, leaving them here alone, longing for Moroccan food. I thought we should open a Moroccan restaurant to fill that specific void for the community. That sentence explains more than the restaurant ever could. Little Morocco was never built for tourists. It was built for the exile. A place to hear Darija again after months of speaking English, where homesick students found harira that tasted like home, where families gathered after Friday prayers, where birthdays, weddings, Ramadan evenings, and World Cup matches all unfolded around the same tables. Haj Driss describes what the street itself does to the immigrant experience, the specific comfort of a neighborhood that speaks your language in your accent. Being here on Steinway is just like being in a neighborhood alleyway back in Morocco, in Casablanca. Praise be to God, Moroccans are numerous here. The mosque is nearby. Brothers are constantly walking by exchanging greetings. Walk outside the restaurant and the neighborhood confirms it. A Moroccan bakery, a halal butcher, cafes where older men spend hours discussing football and politics over tiny glasses of mint tea, Arabic signs beside English ones, the call to prayer from a nearby mosque, couscous served only on Fridays, the way it is eaten in Morocco as the weekly communal meal that marks the rhythm of an Islamic week. A Dutch Moroccan traveler who visited Steinway Street, specifically from Europe, described the sensation of arriving. "We just ended up in Morocco here. The world is small, brother." A local pedestrian, passing without being asked, named what the travelers were seeing.
Dit is Morocco Street, hè? Jullie hebben het ook gevonden, Jack.
But Steinway Street is 1 mile of one borough of one city. The real community was always larger, always more dispersed, always less visible than one street could contain. Moroccans didn't build Steinway Street to be seen. They built it to belong. And over time, the same quiet pattern appeared across America. Not one little Morocco, but dozens of small Moroccos. A restaurant in Virginia, a bakery in Boston, a cafe in Florida, a family in Seattle, a craftsman in California, connected not by geography, by people. The Moroccan community in America is distinct from almost every other Arab diaspora in one specific way. An unusually large proportion arrived through universities rather than through labor. They came as students, stayed as researchers, built careers as engineers, doctors, architects, scientists, and professors. The community that assembled on Steinway Street was matched, and in some cities exceeded, by a professional class scattered across American universities and research institutions with no physical enclave to call home. Adla is 33 years old. She completed her PhD at Mohammed VI Polytechnic University in Ben Gadir, one of the best academic institutions in Morocco. The PhD was the hardest experience of her life.
And the PhD was one of the hardest experience, especially in Morocco, because you have no funds. Either you survive the PhD or you just abandon,
She survived. She spent months afterward teaching as an adjunct at private engineering schools in Rabat and Casablanca, printing resumes, walking into buildings cold emailing international labs, sending applications into silence. Then an email she had sent 9 to 12 months earlier came back with a reply. A postdoctoral position in New York.
So during that postdoc, I received another email out of nowhere asking me if I still look for a job in the US. This email actually I've sent it like 9 months to 1 year before I received a response.
She arrived with 3 nights of hotel booking and not enough money for more.
Came here like with the reservation of three nights at a hotel room, hoping that I'm gonna find a rent in 3 days. That was very delusional, not realistic, crazy, not responsible. But I had to do that because I didn't have enough money.
The New York she arrived in was not the New York she had imagined. The rental market was brutal. The institution expected immediate performance. The loneliness was specific and hard to name. The loneliness of someone who has achieved something extraordinary and cannot share the full weight of it with anyone nearby. She describes the pressure with precision.
So life in New York is so hard. Honestly, it's not easy. First, you're far from your family, you miss them, and Morocco and New York is really too far. And also, you need to work hard because they brought you from Morocco to here, so you need to work and prove that they made a good decision.
Adla is not unusual. She is representative of an entire generation of Moroccan researchers, doctors, engineers, and scientists who arrived in America carrying doctorates and determination and almost nothing else, and who built careers in institutions that celebrated their skills while rarely acknowledging where those skills came from. In Seattle, Dunya Benja has spent years building the institutional infrastructure that the community's growing professional class never had time to create. She is reviving a non-profit to support the Moroccans arriving in Washington state, a community growing faster than anyone anticipated.
Since there's so many people moving in right now from Morocco to Seattle, we have never had a community like this or as big as this before.
In September 2023, a 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck Morocco. Dunya Benja was in Seattle when the footage came through. She was safe. Her extended family was not.
You know, you're out having fun and you're seeing that your mother-in-law and her mother are sleeping in the streets.
She organized the community response. She coordinated with the sister city relationship between Issaquah, Washington, and Chefchaouen, Morocco, a long-standing diplomatic connection symbolized by a traditional Moroccan door that stands outside Issaquah City Hall. That door, given by the people of Chefchaouen, became a conduit for earthquake relief. A small door, an enormous relationship. The researcher who arrived alone, and the community organizer who makes sure the next one does not have to. Both invisible to mainstream America. Both essential to the community they sustain. In Koreatown, Los Angeles, a man named Nuruddin is carving plaster by hand. He is from Fez, the city that has been the global capital of architectural plaster carving for 400 years. He is working on Astrolab, an art space. The geometric patterns he produces with a hand tool on a California wall are the same patterns his ancestors produced in the Medinas of Fez 3 centuries ago. He describes what happens to his mind when he works.
My man only with the design.
Yeah.
I forgot about everything. Only design, you know, you have to follow design. You cannot think about, oh, what I have to do tomorrow, oh, what I have to, you know. Design in front of you, so you have to make it look nice.
He describes the craft as a living chain of human transmission, knowledge that cannot be written in a book, only passed from hands to hands across generations.
Moorish work is like Moroccan work, like maybe more than 300 years ago, 400 years ago, our ancestors, that's why we do this plaster, and then we learn from the, generation, every generation counts.
And the specific pedagogy of learning a trade that has no written curriculum.
That's exactly the best way to learn.
Yeah, that's why I learned like that.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go to the job, and then I learned. I didn't know nothing, I just watch them what they are doing first, and then start mixing for them, helping them.
Gosh.
And then after that, I learned little by little.
In Morocco, huh?
Yeah, of course, in Morocco. Nowhere you're gonna learn, no place. Only in Morocco, in Fez, the capital of carving plaster.
Nuruddin's work in Koreatown is one data point in a much larger story. 40 minutes east of Los Angeles, in the Bighorn enclave of Palm Desert, California, sits what may be the most complete monument to Moroccan craftsmanship in the Western Hemisphere. A 20,000 square foot compound, 8 years to build. Teams of Ma'alems, master artisans, flown directly from Morocco to California, where they lived and worked on site for years, hand carving every door, hand laying every tile, hand executing every piece of plaster geometry throughout the structure. The current owner, Howie Paynes, describes what those artisans produced.
This was handcrafted over 6 years with Moroccan artisans. They had multiple architects from the US and Morocco working together to orchestrate the building of this masterpiece. It's a one of a kind, probably one of the greatest Moroccan pads in the US. Check it out. all the mosaic tile, all hand laid on the walls, all the marble, steel, all the plaster, hand done. Look at all these doors. They're all hand carved, all real wood. You don't find this anymore.
On the irreplaceable cost of what the artisans produced,
The gentleman who actually takes care of the house said to me, Howie, if you gave me $25 million today, I couldn't even build this house for you. That's how expensive it is.
the property is appraised at $18.9 million. It is the product of hundreds of thousands of hours of hand labor, executed by craftsmen who learned their trade in workshops in Fez the same way Nuruddin learned, by watching, then mixing, then gradually becoming. The Moroccan artisans who work in American luxury real estate arrive on project visas. They work for years. They produce irreplaceable objects. They leave. The zellige tile remains. The plaster geometry remains. The carved cedar doors remain. Their labor is recorded in no inventory of the diaspora's contributions to America. Yet American luxury real estate, from Malibu to Palm Desert to the Hamptons, contains Moroccan craftsmanship worth hundreds of millions of dollars. A civilization's knowledge carried in human hands across an ocean, deposited into the walls of American buildings, invisible in the public record, permanent in the walls. The most visible thread of the Moroccan diaspora in America is also the most layered: food. But not one kind of food story. 3 simultaneous food stories, each operating at a different scale, each serving a different America. The first is Haj Drisses, the community kitchen, the harira that cures homesickness, the couscous that marks the Friday rhythm of a week spent in an American city without the weekly communal meal that structures time in Morocco. This food is not mainly for tourists, it is for the community itself. The most essential level, because it is the one that outsiders rarely see. The second is Chef Murad's in Boston, a Moroccan-born chef who grew up playing soccer because soccer was the cheapest thing Morocco offered.
All I did in my childhood is play soccer. I didn't understand when I was little. That was actually the cheapest thing we can afford is a ball and a Snicker.
Now he runs a kitchen in a World Cup host city that marries the flavors of his childhood with American commercial logic. Saffron rice as the base.
We have the yellow saffron rice, so we use that as a base.
Lamb marinated for 24 hours and braised for 6. A yogurt-based garlicky white sauce. The architecture of Moroccan slow cooking compressed into a build-your-own bowl format that an American lunch break customer can understand.
We serve Moroccan food with a twist. Our menu is designed to basically, you build your own bowl based on what you like.
And when the World Cup comes, the restaurant becomes more than a restaurant. It becomes a gathering point. Chef Murad describes what that means for the diaspora fan.
When it comes to World Cup, there is more emotions in watching the game because your number one priority to support them and be part of that engine that will make them win.
The third story is Chef Anissa Wahid's Terra Kitchen. 5 locations, 4 in upstate New York, the 5th in Manhattan. Built on a counterintuitive strategy, perfect the model in regional markets first, then enter the most competitive restaurant market in America. Her philosophy is precise. Make Moroccan food accessible. Remove the distance between an American diner and a cuisine they may have never encountered before. The tagine becomes an entry point, not only to a meal, to an entire civilization of spices, patience, hospitality, and memory. And behind all 3, the community kitchen, the fast casual adaptation, and the multi-location restaurant empire, is the same Moroccan instinct Haj Driss captured in one phrase: easing the exile. Whether the customer is a Moroccan husband whose wife is visiting family back home, a student missing Friday couscous, or an American office worker discovering saffron rice for the first time, the food is doing the same work. It is translating home. One owner, describing what happens when a non-Moroccan customer orders mint tea for the first time and comes back the next day, puts it simply: they usually come back for another pot. That is the Moroccan food story in America in 6 words. Not conquest, not branding, not even just cuisine. An invitation, a table, a glass of tea, and a country made understandable, one meal at a time. When people think about immigration, they often ask what newcomers bring with them: jobs, businesses, investment, skills. Those are important questions, but some of the most meaningful contributions never appear in economic reports. They appear in classrooms, hospitals, research laboratories, construction sites, neighborhood restaurants, family businesses, and in the quiet routines of everyday American life. Moroccan Americans have never been concentrated enough to dominate a single industry. Instead, they have quietly contributed across dozens of them. Some teach in universities, others design buildings. Some own cafes or grocery stores. Others work as engineers, healthcare professionals, researchers, entrepreneurs, or tradespeople. Each story is different. Together, they form a community that has become part of the American landscape without ever drawing much attention to itself. One of the best-known examples is Monsef Slaoui. Born in Agadir, he spent decades in biomedical research before helping lead one of the largest vaccine development efforts in modern history. His work affected millions of lives. Most Americans never knew where his journey began. The same pattern appears in entertainment. Before he became French Montana, Karim Karbouche was simply a teenager adjusting to life in the Bronx after leaving Casablanca with his family. His success is extraordinary. His beginning was not. It began the same way many immigrant stories begin, with uncertainty, with adaptation, with starting over. Across America, thousands of Moroccan stories never become headlines. A scientist publishing research, a teacher helping students learn English, a family running a neighborhood restaurant, a contractor restoring historic buildings, a young entrepreneur opening a first business, a daughter becoming the first in her family to graduate from an American university. These are the stories that rarely go viral, yet they are the stories that quietly shape a country. Perhaps that is why Moroccan America has remained largely invisible, not because it lacks achievement, but because its success has rarely demanded attention. It has unfolded steadily, one family at a time, one opportunity at a time, one generation building on the work of the last. Looking back, Haj Driss still describes his life's work with remarkable simplicity. We eased their exile a little bit. 40 years later, that sentence still captures something much larger than one restaurant in Queens. It describes an entire community, a community that never needed one famous neighborhood to preserve its identity, because its greatest achievement was never building a place. It was building people. And wherever those people settled, they quietly carried a small piece of Morocco with them. If you ask Haj Driss what Little Morocco really is, he will not point to his restaurant. He will point to the people. The families who return every Friday. The students who came for one meal and became regulars. The children who now bring their own children. The widower who came in after his wife flew back to Casablanca and found that the harira tasted exactly as it should. Communities are not built from buildings. They are built from relationships. The second generation now moves comfortably between two worlds: English at school, Darija at home, sometimes French with grandparents, Ramadan dinners, summer trips to Casablanca, recipes passed from grandmother to granddaughter, a teapot placed on the table before any serious conversation begins. Traditions survive because they become ordinary. Aya Rosie, a Moroccan content creator documenting her American daily life in Darija, captures that balance from the inside. One moment, she is in a Target aisle evaluating a TikTok recommended vitamin C serum. The next, she is speaking Darija to viewers in Morocco, her mother tongue flowing naturally over an entirely American landscape. Her identity isn't divided, it's layered. American and Moroccan, sometimes in the same sentence, sometimes in the same breath. Others carried that same layered identity into very different careers. Karine Karbouche arrived in the Bronx from Casablanca at 13, speaking Darija and French before learning English on New York streets. Long before the music industry knew him as French Montana, he was simply another immigrant teenager adapting to a new country. He has often spoken about the sacrifices his family made, especially his mother, who was unable to return to Morocco for 25 years because of their immigration status. People see the fame, but they don't see the real sacrifice it took just to survive in this system. His success is remarkable, but the story begins where so many immigrant stories begin, with family, with sacrifice, with starting over. That pattern repeats throughout Moroccan America. Researchers, teachers, craftsmen, restaurant owners, community organizers, parents helping the next family settle, students helping the next student find an apartment, not because anyone asked them to, because someone once did the same for them. Perhaps that is Morocco's greatest tradition, not simply hospitality, responsibility. Looking back after 4 decades on Steinway Street, Haj Driss still describes his life's work with the same quiet sentence: "We ease their exile a little bit." Perhaps that is what Little Morocco was always about. Not one restaurant, not one street, but thousands of ordinary people making sure the next arrival felt a little less alone. As evening settles over Steinway Street, tea is poured, bread is passed around the table, and conversations drift effortlessly between Darija and English. 40 years ago, Haj Driss opened a small restaurant because, as he says, he wanted to ease their exile a little bit. Perhaps that simple idea explains the entire Moroccan-American story. Not one famous neighborhood, not one towering landmark, but thousands of ordinary people helping the next arrival feel a little less alone. Today, between 150,000 and 200,000 Moroccans live across the United States. Scientists, craftsmen, teachers, entrepreneurs, restaurant owners, students, and families. They never built a little Morocco. They built something harder to see, and perhaps harder to lose. A community carried in people rather than streets. Do you think a community needs one neighborhood to survive? Or can people themselves become the neighborhood? Let us know in the comments. This is the human map, because when people move, the map moves with them. Subscribe and explore the communities, cultures, and hidden networks quietly reshaping the world.